Record to cloud. We should be going live right now on Facebook. I'm going to give Facebook just a couple more seconds to catch up with us because sometimes Facebook's a little slow in getting with us. There's a little bit of a drag time between the Zoom call and or the Zoom thing and Facebook. In 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the Messages of Inspiration and Hope show. I'm Jim Grant. Messages of Inspiration and Hope is a wonderful show. I'm honored to be the host of it. It's sponsored by the good guys at Speakers Pathway and the 6-Minute Webinar. Today, we got 3 wonderful guests to be with you, 3 fantastic ladies, Gail Dixon, Cheryl Meyer, and Charcoa Palmer. Before they come on board, I got to share a few things with you about the 6-Minute Webinar, the Speakers Pathway Coalition, and where you can find not only a free gift that I'm going to give you today, but also some of the other presentations by previous speakers. Let me share my screen if I may. Thought I clicked the button there. Oh, okay, there we go. Move this here out of the way. Here we go, Speakers Pathway. Let me scroll up here to the top. As you can see, we're at speakerspathway.com. Over here, 6 keys. You see that? 6 keys freebie. You want to download that. I'm just going to pop it right here. This is the 6 keys that helps you. It's a guide, helps you create your powerful webinar. It attracts your ideal clients. There are 6 different steps to it. As you can see here, you got to have the right audience. You got to be able to share what the problem is, what your promise is. You got to show value, a call to action, and you got to be able to hold them to the end. And doing a 6-minute webinar, it's a lot easier than some of these other webinars that go on for 20, 30, 40 minutes or whatever. But also, too, this is a gift from Dandy Don McGrath here at speakerspathway.com. Dandy Don and I, we founded the Speakers Pathway. And he goes into sharing some things about the right audience here. And also the problem. You got to clearly state the problem. And also clearly state your promise. You got to show value. There's the steps there. You got to do a call to action, all those wonderful things, and how to keep them to the end. And he goes into that. And we got a webinar coming up at the 6minutewebinar.com. It's going to be on Saturday, October the 24th. But here at the Messages of Inspiration and Hope that we show, we got the good speakers here at the speakerspathway.com. This is 3 of our previous speakers. Boy, Carlos gave a fantastic talk about empathy, how he changed his life after coming out of prison. Just a fantastic talk. So please share that with someone. If you want to see more, just click on that. You can see that we have pages and pages and pages of individuals here. And when I say pages, I mean we got them, you know. Let me click on number 12 just for fun. See who's there. My point being, I want to show you that we got all these speakers here. And if you find a speaker that you really, resonate with, Gail Dixon, she's one of our speakers today. She's going, last time she was on Tuesday, March the 31st, 9 a.m. Okay. The power of the pause, finding wisdom in the change of rhythm. If you'd like to hear more, after you hear Gail today, you want to hear more about her, just click on that. There's Gail's presentation. And here's some information on Gail, and she's a fantastic speaker. Most importantly, if Gail or one of the other speakers on here on the Messages of Inspiration and Hope show, if they bless you, please let that speaker know, because I know they would love to hear from you. And most importantly, if you know of someone that can benefit from their message, share it with that individual and let the speaker know. It says, hey, I got a brother-in-law, or I got a sister-in-law, or whoever, cousin, whatever. They could really use your message, so I sent it to them. Also, too, the 6-minute webinar. If you go to the 6minutewebinar.com, here is a video that explains what the 6-minute webinar is. And in a nutshell, when people attend our classes, they get clarity on the problem they solve for who. They write their script during the 3-hour training. They help create their slides. When I say help create, they actually create their slides, or they may do that a little later, but also later they'll be able to record their powerful 6-minute webinar. And we're going to be putting on that 3-hour class in like I said, Saturday, October the 24th. But today, we got these three wonderful ladies with us today. Let me stop sharing my screen. Let me bring Gail. I'm going to ask you to video and mute you. If you would be so kind as to join us. Did I?
Here I am.
Okay, I got to cancel the spotlight. I'm hogging the whole show there. How are you today, Gail?
I'm great. Thanks so much. I'm glad to be back.
We're glad to have you back because I just picked that number 12 off the top of my head and boom, there you were.
There I was.
That comes from my higher call and that's above my pay grade. I'll say that with you.
Exactly.
You're going to be talking to us today about the language of leadership. Is that correct? Okay, well, let me do three things. I need to give you the spotlight video, number one, and I need to shut off my mic and mute my camera.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Gail Dixon with the Heart's Voice Movement, and I want to talk today a little bit about the language of leadership. I'm all about how we use words, the thing that sets us apart from other creatures on the earth, the thing that makes us able to manage and create our world, and how we use them for good. And when we ask folks to lead us through change, or when folks step up to lead through change, how they use words is really, really important. Words can make or break the connection between a leader and the people that they're meant to lead. And it's interesting to note that some leaders do it instinctively and others need to learn the language of leadership. So I want to talk today just about some of the qualities and characteristics of how leaders communicate and how they use language and some aspects and elements of that in some ways that you can begin listening to yourself as you engage in the places where you are in leadership and as you listen to leaders who want to engage you and think about that. So the first is that the first language of leadership isn't language at all. The first language of leadership is listening. Leaders need to know who they're leading and what's important to them. And you find that out by listening to the people that you're guiding. Asking the right questions, listening to what they talk about in terms of their problems and concerns, the things that motivate them, the things that are important to them, and also the things that frighten them or the things that stop them from moving forward. So the first language of leadership is a language of listening. And it's important to know that that is a language that gets employed continuously throughout the change journey that a leader is shepherding. That is, it's not, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to ask you these 6 questions at the beginning of the process, and then I never ask a question again. So continuous listening is the first piece of the language of leadership. And next, I think about leadership as doing 3 things that I call the 3 S's. All leaders, the task for all leaders is to bring about change. That's why people come together to work for a cause or a goal or whatever, is to change what is now into what is desired. And so it's, you know, how do we engage people in the change process? And the first is we need to help them see the problem and see the desired state. So first, help them see. Paint it in the kind of language that they use, their vocabulary, if there is a jargon in a particular field, if there is a cultural way of speaking. Help shine a light. As the leader, the spotlight isn't on you. The spotlight is on the goal and the change. So help them to see the change and see the problem. The second S is help them to sense the urgency and sense the importance. Use language that is full of prospects and promises and results, and looking at why it is. If we have a situation where there's something that shouldn't be, focus on the harms of staying right where we are. If we have a situation of something that isn't yet, that should be, focus on the need for that. Get the folks who are following you to see and sense the urgency. And then finally, get them to sign on to the cause. And that is all about using language that draws a circle, that brings people in and brings people together. The language of leadership is not a language of I, or even a language of you. It's a language of we and us. Start using that plural pronoun as a leader. That's incredibly important. It's a language of inspiration, making sure that we talk about when the desired change has happened, what the promise and the result will be, and a language of innovation. You know, the truth is that everybody has a lot on their plate. And asking people to sign on to make change, to sign on to move toward a goal, to sign on to make change, is asking them for an expenditure of energy. It's asking them to engage in the group effort. And if there is at the end nothing that's different, nothing that's innovative, nothing that's new, the sense that they'll make an investment, the lack of innovation can kill the motivation of followers. Finally, the language of leadership is a language as much of the heart as of the head. Often leaders get caught up in spouting the party line, using the rhetoric, saying their slogans, chanting the battle cry, or making the logical case for persuasion. We want, as leaders, not to be lawyers pleading a case, but people who are inviting others into the journey with us. So it's a language that really is about invitation. Some of the words that leaders use are also critically important. Leaders help their followers to see the nuances and to see the gray spaces, but to choose the clear path. So using language to provide clarity, to contrast what is to what will be, to set direction, to set a course, can be really important. You probably know from the leaders who've been important to you, if you don't think they have any idea where they're going, you're sure as heck not going to stand behind them and march behind them. So that clarity is very important. The heart connection. You know, if I'm talking to you just from my head and Believe me, I spent my career, my early career, as a teacher, trainer, instructor, and I was great from the instructional platform. But there was a time at which I needed to move from information to inspiration. Leaders are doing inspirational speaking, not informational speaking. So even though I've given you some rubrics and some 3 things to remember and some letters to help things stick in your head a little bit, what's really the most important is what you hear as my heart and hear as my commitment to making sure that leaders use language to help, to connect, to create, rather than to divide and destroy. And I have recently worked really hard at bringing people together in a free Facebook group, the Heart's Voice Movement, which is the best place to find me. It's a place where I am gathering leaders, mission-focused entrepreneurs, and folks with a commitment to change the world for the better, to come together, connect, and be in dialogue. And the real promise of the Heart's Voice Movement is we're going to create a critical mass of people who are using the power of language to create, connect, and make the world a better place. So join me there on Facebook or email me at gail@heartsvoicemovement.com. That's heartsvoicemovement.com. And I'll be glad to talk to you about what's calling on your heart and what are the things that you are ready to step up and lead others to a change for the better in this world. Listen, invite, inspire, innovate, speak from the heart, and draw the circle wide. And that will make sure that you're speaking the language of an effective leader.
Wow, Gail, I really enjoyed your message there. My goodness gracious. It was a powerful message, and I love to hear you talk. The thing that I really enjoy about leadership is that, I've heard it said before, and you said this too in so many words, is that leadership is not telling people, hey, I'm the leader, you do this or follow me or whatever. Leadership really is getting people to believe in the same things that you believe in. They understand what's expected of them. And just like the military is a classic example, if the leader goes down or sick or whatever, someone else can pick up and carry the ball. And
absolutely,
it's really a great thing here. And I want to cut down a couple things here, but most importantly, I want to thank you again for being here. And I want to bring on let me unmute Charcoa and Cheryl and give them a chance to share some information with you. And let's see here, I'm gonna give the request to start the video. I like when I have a technical guy behind the scenes, our producer, like on the radio show, because Ben Horlander he's our producer. He does all the things behind the scenes. And let's see, Charcoa, did I send you a request on your video and unmute? Because Cheryl, I know you're going to be our next speaker, but I wanted you to be able to share some of your thoughts about Gail's wonderful presentation. Would you be so kind?
I was an entrepreneur for 20 years before I got sick, which is what I'm going to talk about, because I don't want anybody else to get the pain that I got from autoimmune disease. But I love how you talk about the importance of people talking to them from the heart and enrolling them in the entire process. Because if you enroll them and they are working towards a common goal with you, which is what you talk about, that's the most important thing you can do as a leader. So it was a great presentation. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to hearing about the movement that you're starting and the vision that you want to engage people in for the better.
Thank you. Thank you. It was very enjoyable to listen to your talk.
Thanks so much.
And Charcoa, I'd like for you to, share some thoughts that you picked up on, or what you was impressed with Gail's talk, if you'd be so kind to share that with us.
Absolutely, Gail. Thank you for sharing with us those the language. And one thing that I really took from that talk is the language that we communicate on many levels, whether it be personal or whether it be business or what have you. Those languages transfer into all of our relationships. And I love the way that you pointed that out and brought it all together, because often we just place it maybe in the personal, but it transcends into the business world and our everyday relations. So thank you very much for sharing.
It does. And, you know, one of the things that's different sometimes about leaders than some of the rest of us is that leaders use language consciously in the service of the goal. And many times, and certainly in many arenas in my life, I'm not always as conscious of my language as I should be. But in leadership, using language consciously in the service of the greater good is what it's all about.
Yes, you're right.
That's well put.
Thanks.
It's like sometimes when I'm speaking on stage, I will tell people about the LLAR. And I said, remember that no matter who you come in contact with, everyone wants to be loved. That's priority one. Everyone wants to be liked. And they want to be appreciated for who they are and what they do. And
everyone wants to be seen.
Yeah.
And so your language lets that happen.
Right.
And the R stands for everybody wants to be. And I tell people, Aretha Franklin must have knew that I wasn't that smart in school, so she spelled it out.
She spelled it out.
RESPCT.
I'll tell you what, that if you look at the leaders, the very charismatic leaders of our generation and generations before, you will see a common characteristic, which is their deep regard for all human beings, regardless of stature or station. And think about Mother Teresa, who gave as much respect and tenderness to the beggar in the street as to the leader in the halls of power. That respect and respecting others and showing that is a hallmark of great leadership.
It really is. And speaking of Mother Teresa, she demonstrated the power of wisdom. She understood that everyone was a creation from the Creator. And she respected that. She understood that. She got it. Well, a lot of us, you know, we seem to forget that. And that's our shortcoming as humanity. But it's time for us now to bring Cheryl to the stage to be talking to us about why it's important to cook and eat the rainbow. We're going to be talking about that rainbow stew or what?
Yeah, well, kind of.
Well, let me go ahead and shut off some videos here. I need to give you the center spotlight here. And, you know, let me cut off a couple of videos here. Gail, I'm going to cut your video off and mute your mic. And let me do a couple things here. Let me mute my mic, number one, and shut off my video. And Cheryl, the stage is yours.
Thank you. My name is Cheryl Meyer, and I am otherwise known as Cheryl M. Health Muse. And why am I a muse? Because I want to inspire you to clean up what you're cooking and putting into your mouth, and why it's important not to have that be processed food and fast food. And how did I find this out? I was an entrepreneur, and I woke up one morning 8 years ago and every single joint and muscle in my body hurt because I had autoimmune disease. But at the time, I didn't know that was what was wrong. I went to the doctor over and over and over again, had tests run. She didn't know what was wrong and told me maybe I needed mental therapy, but she'd give me steroids, which I wasn't going to take. And I turned my business over to my staff and I dug in. Now, I think most of us know that we should be eating real food, but I didn't really know what that meant. And I will tell you, food can either make us well, it's the foundational piece, or food can make us sick as heck. And so I want to tell you why it's important to be eating all the colors of the rainbow from a farm as close to you as possible, because you want to be getting maximum nutrition from the plant, and you want to cook. And you want to cook because that's how you control what goes into your body, and that's where you get all the great nutrients that will keep you well. So let's talk a little bit about statistics, and then I want to explain why it's important, because it's so much easier for me to do something when I understand the why and the how behind it. We're 37th in the world in health in the United States. We are lower than any other industrial country. So what do you think might be wrong with our healthcare system? It's that we have so many toxins and so many fake ingredients in the food that we're eating, which is the standard American diet. The standard American diet is processed food and fast food. Now, fast food, let's do it first. It's fake food. There's absolutely nothing in fast food in most cases that our bodies can utilize at all. But we're feeding our children that. So what's happening with our children? 53% of our kids have chronic illness. I found that a frightening statistic. So you need to start thinking about what can you do to raise healthy children, and so that you grow old, stay well, stay healthy, and keep your cognizance. And all of this has been proven by a National Geographic study called the Blue Zone Study, where they live the longest in the world and they keep their cognizance all the way to the end. So this is all really important stuff. A newborn child is now born with as many as 297 toxins that they're getting directly from the umbilical cord, which is, believe it or not, coming from both the mother and the father at point of conception. So there's something called toxic load, and a brand new infant now is being born with a heavy toxic load right from the onset. So they don't have a chance to grow up healthy unless we take it seriously that we need to be feeding them real food and real nutrients. By the time a child is 5, they have as many as 7 pounds of toxins in their little body. So all of this is important for you to understand, that we want to be healthy, we want to raise healthy children. And in the age of COVID, this is even more important because immune compromised people, like me, because I have autoimmune disease, which has now been verified, people who are immune compromised are the ones that the virus is attacking. So how do you build up your immune system? How do you build up the immune system of your children? You feed them real food. And what does that mean? You want to feed them all the colors of the rainbow, because each and every color has a gift for the body, but together, all those colors form a synergy of phytonutrients that get together and party in your body. And it doesn't take very long before your body starts to celebrate that it feels really good. Once I came out the other end, 5 years later, after eliminating hundreds of toxins from my life and changing how I ate completely and cooking all of my own food. Why am I cooking? Because I can control what I put in my body that way. But after coming out the other end, I went back to school to help others. I became a health coach, and I wrote a book that has now won 15 awards, calls it Feels Good to Feel Good, because once you start feeling that fantastic, you don't ever want to give it up, because it's worth it to eat this way so that you feel that fantastic. So it's important that you understand this is also going to keep you what's going to be healthy, so that you don't get things like COVID or any other thing coming down the pike. I don't get sick anymore, and I don't hurt anymore. And I will tell you, the pain was horrific. So if you have cancer, autoimmune disease, diabetes, heart disease, this is the foundational piece. But why wait until you get sick and tired of being sick and tired? Start to eat real food now. Learn to cook. I can cook a dinner faster than I can get in the car and run for fast food. And so once you get into the rhythm of cooking and you start to control what goes into your body, you feel so great You don't ever want to give that up again. So I want you to start eating real food. All you're getting by eating processed food and fast food is convenience, but you're not getting health. Let's talk about processed food for 1 minute. My rule is when you read the box, if you don't know what that ingredient is, guess what? Neither does your body. And it's nothing that it can use. Things as simple as MSG are now on those boxes under 39 different names. Now, I think we all know that MSG isn't good for us, but we don't know that that's what we're getting because we don't know what that ingredient is. So if you don't know what it is, you put it back on the shelf. If you can't pronounce it, then you don't know what it is, so put it back on the shelf. And that's as simple as natural flavorings. Natural flavorings are usually MSG. So by cooking real food, real whole foods that are preferably organic, because then you're not getting toxins on your food, which would also do you harm. You're eating all the colors of the rainbow of the vegetables and the fruits, and that's the way that your cells in your body start to celebrate. Now, why do you want all those nutrients? Because every cell in your body has a shelf life, and you need to have great building supplies in order to replace all the cells as you're doing it. Your blood has a shelf life of 3 months. So you always have some cells that are brand new, some that are medium, and some that are going out the door. You're outside of your lungs, which is where COVID attacks. They replace themselves every 6 weeks. So you want healthy cells on the outside of your lungs so that you can withstand the onslaught of the virus. Your gut, everything starts from the gut. There's something called leaky gut when you're eating a lot of toxins and you're eating a lot of synthetic ingredients. Your gut wall can't keep up with it. It's only 1 millimeter thick and it's only 1 cell wide. It replaces itself every 6 days, but eventually it can't keep up. And you want healthy building materials so that you are constantly replacing your gut wall with healthy cells. So do you want to be made out of junk? Or do you want to be made out of healthy phytonutrients that will make you vibrant? I think it's a pretty easy solution. And I don't know about you, but I plan to get old with my brain, and I don't ever want to go back to a place where I have a lot of pain again. So eat the rainbow. It's not just a phrase. It's important for you. It's important for your children, and it's important so that you grow old and thrive. So if you want to learn more, I have 2 books about this. The first book is how I eliminated hundreds of toxins from my life, and it's called It Feels Good to Feel Good. My second book is, okay, Ducky, I don't live in my house in an isolated bubble. So how do I go out to eat? How do I go to other people's houses for dinner? How do I travel and eat the rainbow and not eat processed or fast food? And that book is called Feeling Good, Living Low Toxin, and I give you all my tips of how I do that, because I don't eat the standard American diet anymore, and I don't plan to, which means I'm swimming upstream against the rest of the population. I'm not going to change them, but I'm also not going to give up feeling this fantastic. So I tell you how to do that. So, and you can also go to my website, which is Cheryl M. Health Muse, Cheryl with a C, M for my last name, health, and then Muse, so that I can inspire you.com. My email is CherylMHealthMuse@gmail.com. And if you write to me about health, I'll write back to you because I want to get you in the right direction to be healthy too. And then I do have a private Facebook group that I would love to have you come join, which is called Feeling Good, Living Low Toxin. And we're an amazing group of people that will support you through isolation. It will support you for health tips. We have fun. It's just a great little group because even humor is part of health. And so come join us, come join our community, because I think you'll really like being there. So thank you. Thank you for listening to me. Cook and buy real food. They're the 2 most important things you can do for your health.
Wow. Thank you so much. I tell you right now, you really, 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 you nail on the head. And I tell you, it's just amazing because over the years, I did a study into the world of herbs and natural cures and all that. And it's amazing how many great properties that we have in our food. One of the acids in our food that's in the vegetables is called oxalic, oxalic acid. And I'm also going to be asking the other ladies to join us here as I do some techie stuff behind the scene. But most importantly, the oxalic acid, it attacks abnormal cells like cancer and arthritis and things of this nature.
Right.
And Hippocrates in an argument was, complaining to some of the guys, some of the medical people during this day and time. He says, listen, we got everything we need in the food. And of course it was, he was trying to, educate some closed-minded men. And, you ladies already know how that's going to go. But I'd like to call on Gail first. And Gail, Cheryl's presentation was just fantastic, wasn't it?
It was indeed, Cheryl. And, you are living testimony to what you are saying and sharing, the vibrancy and the healthiness and the energy that just exudes from you. Really just speaks volumes about the wisdom of eating the way you're urging us to
I'm
eat.
now
And
71 and I feel better than I did in my 50s. And
that-
I still have autoimmune disease. I will always have autoimmune disease, but I no longer have the downside of the disease. So this has all been worth it.
Well, that's great. And, I also especially love the fact that you've written a book that lets us take your wisdom beyond our own kitchens, because I'll tell you, as soon as COVID is over, I'm going to want to be able to eat someplace other than my own house. And so I really appreciate the fact that you're giving us some wisdom about how to make choices when we're not in control of the kitchen. And that's great.
Right. And there are ways to do it. Once you're committed to eating real food, then you figure out what to do about it. And that's why my functional doctor asked me to write the second book, because that's the part her patients are not figuring out. And it's an important part because I'm a very social person. So I don't want to give up my community. And community is also part of health. So I had to figure out, how could I be part of community and yet not give up my commitment to only eat real food for my health?
Yeah, that's great. So thank you so much for that.
I really like what you said there, Cheryl. You may have the disease, but that disease does not have you. I like that. That shows true freedom. And Charcoa, I tell you right now, her message was just simply inspiring, wasn't it?
It definitely was. Very good job, Cheryl. One thing that comes to mind in your messaging is, I know many have heard the term, you are what you eat.
Yes.
So I was reminded of that as I've been trying to balance out my diet and the diet of my family, because it is true. I love how you pointed it out that even during this time of COVID, at least you're building up your immune system to best protect yourself and your family. And so I think that it's very key that number one, we don't get so caught up maybe in the moment of COVID that we forget to build up our immune systems. Let's protect ourselves. So I love how you brought that out. Very good job.
Very good job. Exactly. I mean, it's just wonderful. And I love you ladies' input, because that's what makes the show so good. And ladies and gentlemen, rest assured that the reason why the Messages of Inspiration and Hope show has been so fantastic has nothing to do with the host. It has everything to do with the speakers, their knowledge, most importantly, their heart to share their wisdom, their knowledge, their encouragement to help you have a better day and a better life. That's what we're about. And it's time for us now to bring Charcoa to the stage. I'm going to give you the center, make you the spotlight there, young lady.
All right.
There we go. And let me cut off a couple of videos here. And I got to do all this techie stuff here. Stop the video. Okay, let's see here. Okay, mute that one. Okay. Takes a while to do all this techie stuff. I'm more for presentation and all that. Oops, I did the wrong thing there, didn't I? Charcoa, I apologize.
That's okay.
That's why they don't ever pay me on this job.
You're doing a fabulous job.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. But most importantly, you're going to be talking to us today about the power of the pandemic or a pandemic. So let me do a couple things. First, let me mute my mic and cut off my video, and the stage is yours.
All right. Thank you so much for having me on today. And yes, we're going to be talking about the power of a pandemic. Wow. Can we take it? It's all in the way that you take it. You can take it in a positive way, or you can take it in a negative way. I choose to think of it, of the power of a pandemic positively. And I'm going to share with you 3 points as to why a pandemic is powerful. Number one, a pandemic allows you the time to refocus. Refocus, yes. Refocus on what's important. Refocus on your goals. Refocus on your relationships. Refocus on anything that you may have started and may not finish. Today, I'm going to talk about just refocusing mostly on your goals. And during this pandemic time, I have seen that many have taken advantage of it for what it is, the shutdowns. Many have taken advantage of as refocus time and focusing on their dreams, writing books, starting businesses, maybe picking up something somewhere where you left off because you got so clouded with life. And that is so easy to do. But during this time, while things have slowed down and we're kind of sitting still because of COVID, I want to encourage you to definitely refocus and hone in on your finances, hone in on your relationships with your family, okay? And I also want you to hone in and tune in to those, your finances and your relationships. Okay, that is very important. Refocusing. Another deal that we want to refocus on is don't forget about you. You want to take time to do self-care. Okay. For example, for myself, my self-care may be just getting in my pedicure spa bath. And I do it at home. I don't go to the nail salon, and set aside time in order to take care of myself. Or I may take a walk. Make sure that you take care of yourself while you're refocusing also on your dreams and your family. Number two, the power of a pandemic can push you into your purpose. And I'll explain what I mean about that. Your purpose, everyone has a purpose, first of all. But in the craziness of life, when we're moving, maybe working and taking care of families, sometimes our purpose can be lost and we can forget about what that purpose is. So during the time of a pandemic, it can definitely push you into your purpose because you have nothing but time to think, to refocus on all the areas of your life. I urge you to take advantage of that time, and so that your purpose in life can be fulfilled. So refocusing, number one. Number two, it can push you into your purpose. Number three, you definitely, a pandemic will cause you to be unstoppable. How can it cause you to be unstoppable? And that is because you've now refocused, you find your purpose. There's nothing that is now going to stop you from obtaining that, right? So allow the pandemic to cause you to be unstoppable, unstoppable of obtaining your dreams, unstoppable of healing relationships, unstoppable with refocusing on your finances, unstoppable from being a blessing to others. Whatever your purpose is, don't stop and let the pandemic kind of propel you until where you need to be. And you will make the world a better place. It is always a time for us to serve. It is always a time for us to be a blessing. But in all of it, do not forget the blessing of a pandemic, because it refocuses on you and the blessing that you can be to yourself and you can be to others and your family. I encourage you to connect with me, the owner of Total Power Financial Services. And one of those things that I pointed out, you want to definitely refocus on your finances. The website is www.totalpowerfinancial.com, and the email is totalpowerfinancial, info@totalpowerfinancial.com. I thank you for joining me, and we'll see you soon.
Wow, I just got to say thank you so much for a wonderful presentation, a wonderful message, because, you know, it's so important for us to remember that in life, you know, we got to quit, you know, we got to keep living and stop being focused on little things, because it's just like, you know, what Cheryl was saying earlier, you know, she's always has that disease, but it does not have her. It's not, she did not keep her enslaved. And Gail, let me give you a request to start your video there. And if you'd be kind enough to join us, please, if you got time. There she is. Just a wonderful presentation. The one thing I'd like to say that always impresses me about this show is that how the topics all complement and bless each other. And a lot of people think that I figured that out on my own. And I got to be honest with you, folks. It comes from a much higher calling than me, because when we first started the show, we got together to determine, me and Bill Heinrich and Don McGrath and all the folks at the Speakers Pathway, the executive team. We got together and we said, how can we help people in this day and time? Because some people were, you know, we were all restricted to our homes at that time. Some people were migrating out of fear in the solitary confinement. And it was Bill Heinrich who says, hey, let's just put on a webinar, you know, use Zoom and just put on some messages of inspiration and hope and support for people, and bingo, that was it. We made that decision on a Wednesday. We started it the following Monday. And they says, Jim, it's your baby. Okay, all right, what do I do? You just host it. And so we've been blessed. Gail, you've been on here twice, and Charcoa and Cheryl, I'm so glad to have you on here, but I want to turn the mic over first to Cheryl and let her share some of her thoughts about Charcoa's wonderful, your wonderful message.
I agree with you completely. A lot of people have taken the pandemic as a, you know, oh my God, I can't be out in society, but you don't have to be isolated.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so wonderful to have the time to focus on what your passion is and to expand your reach. Even though we're not out in the world, we are out in the world because we have things like Zoom that allow us to remain connected. We have things like Facebook that allow us to be connected. I started my Facebook group right at the beginning of the pandemic, and I am really, truly enjoying it because it's a place that everybody can go and learn to be healthy and get new skills and share what their passion is. So it's wonderful to be able to utilize this time because we are too busy and we don't stop and think about where it is we are and where it is we want to go. And this has allowed us to slow down and do that. So I think it's fantastic. And yes, we do need to be thinking about our financial lives, which is what you do. So it's a great time for us to take the power of pause and then to utilize new skills to get out into the world and utilize the gifts of the pandemic. And there's a gift in everything.
Oh yeah, no matter what happens to you, there's always there's always comes with a blessing if you look for it. If you don't, it's kind of like looking at a rose bush. Do you look at the roses? Do you look at the thorns?
Right, right.
And Gail, I know you want to share some thoughts about Charcoa's message.
Absolutely, and thank you so much, Charcoa. You really point out so clearly how important it is, kind of what slice of the horizon we're looking at. You know, we have the whole picture out in front of us, and we can focus on this little piece or that little piece or the little piece over there, and where we focus makes all the difference. And so for you to say, you know, let the pandemic push you into purpose rather than into panic is so brilliant. And the other thing that, you know, talking about kind of getting back in touch with what's important to you and your relationships and your finances. And, you know, what I have found during this time is that even though I have thought that I had my finances well in hand and all of those kinds of things, the perspective of what if life stays this way? You know, it first looked like we were going to be under quarantine for 2 weeks and then maybe for another 30 days. And now here we are 6 or 7 months later. It has made me look out farther in terms of my own financial picture, and to say, you know, are the mile markers what I need them to be? And get really conscious about the fact that for me, as a single person living alone, what I do with my finances and how I'm able to maintain my life also governs how I am able to conduct my relationships. I need to be able to afford the technology that keeps me in contact with people. I need to be able to travel when I'm able to travel. I need to be able to support people in my life who are struggling financially during the pandemic. So relationships can be helped by strong financial pictures, and relationships can get rocky when the financial picture for one or more of the participants in the relationship is not so good. So thank you for making that connection.
All right, and thank you. And I think just one more thing that I want to point out in the financial picture is the purpose of you being pushed into purpose during the pandemic. Is also for you to find where your gift and how your gift is monetized. Because if you're just attached to maybe a job and the job is affected by a pandemic, what do you do, and how do you supplement that, or how do you continue to grow your finances? So I think that's important for us to gauge upon. And if we do not find our purpose, it will not make room for us, correct? So I believe that in your purpose, that your needs are supplied. And I just want people to make sure that you're tuning into that purpose so that you won't have to worry about any pandemic that comes your way, because your gift is going to make room for you. Not your job, even though jobs are good, but whatever your purpose is and your gift is going to make room.
Great.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you brought out some of the wonderful points there. One thing I got out of your speech was the fact that, you know, we should all focus on how we can be a blessing to others, just one-on-one, and let it snowball. Because if we share love and respect with to another person, it encourages them to do the same thing. And that's what we need in this whole world today, is a little bit of love, a little bit of respect, because it goes a long, long, long way. And let me encourage you folks out there to, you know, go the extra mile, take that first step and share your love and your respect for someone. Most importantly, give them an encouraging word. How about a thank you for something that they may have done? You know, we all like a pat on the back and a thank you. It makes us all feel good. And these wonderful ladies that shared their message today, my goodness gracious, I know they blessed some people's hearts out there. Please get in touch with them. Visit their websites. Again, I'm going to give them a chance to give their website and their email address before we close, but please get in touch with them and just tell them, you know, that you really appreciated their message. And if you know someone that could use their message or be a blessing to them, please share it, because that's what we need. We need to share love. We need to share blessings, because the more we share, the more we get. You cannot give the senior in the sky, as I like to talk, as I like to call him. So Gail, I'll start with you. If you would be kind enough to share your email address and your website one more time, please.
Sure. My website's in development, so I'm going to send you to my Facebook community, the Heart's Voice Movement on Facebook. It's an open Facebook group, and come join the dialogue there, or reach me by email at gail@heartsvoicemovement.com.
Thank you so much. And Cheryl, if you'd be so kind too.
The base word is Cheryl with a C, CHERYLM, Health Muse, and then .com takes you to my website, which is loaded with great health information and blogs. And if you go at gmail.com, that's my email. If you write to me, I will write you back. And my private Facebook group is Feeling Good, Living Low Toxin. But I also have a Cheryl M. Health Muse Facebook page that you can come pick up extra health tips at.
Thank you so much, because the information you share there is worth there's no price on it, because if you, what is it, good health is worth what? Everything.
Yeah, without your health, you don't have anything.
That's right. That's right. Like I tell people, that I love getting up in the morning, and if I got heartbeat in my veins and breath in my lungs, that's a gift from the senior in the sky, and I say thank you. It's time for me now to get up, get busy, and do something productive. And Charcoa, would you be so kind as to share your website and email address with us?
Certainly. The website is totalpowerfinancial.com, and the email is info@totalpowerfinancial.com.
Well, thank you so very much. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in today. I'm Jim Grant. The messages of inspiration, hope, and support is brought to you by the 6-Minute Webinar at 6minutewebinar.com and the good guys at Speakers Pathway, that's speakerspathway.com. And I like to close every show. Cheryl won't get too mad at me for saying this, but I like to close every show with saying, if it's your birthday today, happy birthday to you. Be sure and enjoy yourself. Be sure and treat yourself, because I tell people, on your birthday, birthday cakes and all the special desserts that you love, that's health food. So be sure and treat yourself. Be good to yourself. Love yourself first, and then you can love others. I'm Jim Grant on behalf of Gail and Cheryl and Charcoa. Thank you so much for being with us today. Be sure and share their messages with others. Hope you have a good day. I give you ladies a chance to wave goodbye. We'll see you
Bye,
next
everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.